No obstruction, no collusion, no obstruction, no collusion, no obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. No obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. Total exoneration, total exoneration, total exoneration. No obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. No obstruction, no collusion, no obstruction, no collusion, no obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. No obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. Total exoneration, total exoneration, total exoneration. No obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. Total exoneration, total exoneration, total exoneration. No obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. No obstruction, no collusion, it's a Russian hoax. If we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so.
That was Laurel Federbush. And if anybody comes in here and watches our show from the past, for shows, Laurel's quite a frequent contributor. So, and again, she's coming up with something totally different. She's an author, musician, and now a political, like a folk singer, right?
Okay, I guess so, yeah.
Now, like,
okay.
I think
That's a complimentary term, thank you.
I think your mom would be proud. She also sang
Yeah.
in the same vein.
Yeah, my mom actually, Marcia Federbush, is thing she was best known for was being a feminist, and she did some political singing. Well, she was very compulsive about rhyming, so she would rhyme. She would write these rhyming songs, kind of in the style of Tom Lehrer, and accompanying herself on the keyboard, but they would be rhyming songs about topical issues.
Yeah, like Woody Guthrie, and his father. I mean, his son, Arlo Guthrie.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I guess he's still around, right?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
So, I mean, I guess you don't like Trump.
you got that impression. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that song I opened with, I mean, maybe you can't necessarily tell one way or the other. The first part of the song is what Trump says, and then the second part is the quote from the Mueller investigation. But yeah, the CD, I'm here plugging my new CD, 45 Chronicles, and I guess that you could say it's kind of anti-Trump. That would be the way it's leaning. Yeah.
Now, like, what your major issue is with Trump? I mean, you probably alluded to it in that song you sang, but I mean,
Yeah, well,
your
my-
other issues.
Yeah, my CD has more than 30 songs on it, and each one is like some little aspect of Trump and his presidency. I guess the biggest issue I would say they have with him is that he's a would-be dictator, like saying I can do whatever I want as president. I think that's a danger. I think no matter what your politics are, I think that would be should be a frightening thing for anyone who values freedom to hear from their president. And I just think he's shown real cruelty, with the family separation policy. I think that's really like torture and inhuman. And the thing that first turned me off about him was his misogyny, like his comments about women, and comparing them to dogs and pigs, and all kinds of horrible statements about women. But there's a long list of things you could say about Trump. It's like where to begin.
So I guess it's a good thing. It's got you thinking about it and inspired the creative powers inside.
Yeah, that's right. Like I wouldn't want to, because like I said, I'm anti-Trump, but I wouldn't like to say that he's an inspiring person, but his presidency did inspire me to do this album. And it really was inspiration. Like, it wasn't me sitting there thinking, gee, I don't like Trump, so I think I'll write some songs against him. It was it really sort of took shape. There were certain statements he made that, like, in my mind, immediately shaped themselves into songs. Just statements like I would get, like, I would hear them in terms of a melody and a rhythm, and that happened with, I think, three or four different songs, and I thought, well, gee, I'm kind of seeing a pattern here, and so I decided to do an album of them.
Now,
And
you
they're all
said
a cappella, and they're all pretty short.
They're all 30 songs.
Are there
You said,
30?
you said there are the 30 songs on the CD.
Okay, I think, 30, 31. I don't even remember, or at least there were 30. Yeah, yeah.
Now, how long did it take you to come up with all these?
Was within a pretty short time, a few months. I don't remember exactly. I think more than 2 months and less than 5 months, I think. And I don't remember exactly how long it took me. So.
It's gonna be a record. It's gonna be a record.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's one of these things where once you start, at first things happen kind of slowly, and then I had a certain number of songs, and I thought, well, that would be a good number to. Well, I guess I had 25 songs at one point, and I thought, well, this would be a good number to stop with, because that would be symbolic of the 25th Amendment, which is, I guess, removing a president because they're, incompetent to perform their duties. I thought that would be a good symbolic way to have 25 songs, but then I kept getting more and more ideas, so like I couldn't cut it off, and at some point it's like, stop, even if you're getting more ideas, just stop. You have to, finish your album, because you don't want to have an infinitely long album. You have to finish a project at some point.
I think you can have them more.
Okay.
From the sound of it, but not that I necessarily agree. I don't have that much.
Yeah,
anger
I'm not.
against
I know
Trump,
I'm not
but
necessarily representing the viewpoint of the host, so don't anyone get a misconception in that regard. These are my views.
It's okay though. I can understand people opposing Trump. I can understand. I've done that for many of the presidents. People thought I should have liked, like Reagan. I did not like Reagan,
Right.
and I think he was a. I just don't buy into that cult. A lot of the Republicans did.
Right.
But
Yeah. Well, before it was the party of Trump, it was the party of Reagan. At least that's what people claim to be.
right.
Yeah, and like on Facebook lately, I have a lot of posts in which I say good things about Obama or I defend him, but just so people know, when Obama was president, I really didn't like him. At that time I was Republican. When Trump became the nominee, I switched and became a Democrat. But when I was a Republican, I really thought Obama was kind of arrogant, and I just people tended to think he was very inspiring, and I always saw him as being very cold and calculating, and he just didn't really I didn't have any real affection for Obama when he was president, but compared to Trump, I really wish he were I really miss his presidency. Now I see what came after him. So
Yeah, because I didn't like Jimmy Carter. I didn't like Reagan. Didn't like the Bushes. I didn't like Obama. That's none of the presidents in office since I was old enough did I like. And that almost angers people.
Right.
That you don't buy into it. What's your friends' reactions when, because you switch back and forth. You've been a Democrat, Republican,
Yeah.
Democrat again. You're also pro-life,
Yeah.
which is kind of antithetical to a lot of Democrats. So how do your friends react to this?
yeah, I post things on Facebook. I probably use Facebook way too much. Because I tend to like to express myself. I like writing, and so Facebook is kind of a natural thing. And I often like to be kind of controversial. That's something I inherited from my mother. Again, she was sort of kind of a lightning rod. She liked to be controversial, or she was controversial whether she wanted to be or not. And she went, and I would do a lot of activist things together and separately that were controversial, and so I guess in a way I'm kind of used to that. There's a part of me that's kind of a peacemaker, so sometimes things get too heated, and I don't like that, and I kind of shrink away from it. But I post things on Facebook, and usually there will be some people who are really with me, and some people who are really against it. Like anything I post, I'll have, because like you said, I've been, you know, I've been on the left and on the right and the middle, and I have friends now from all those different parts of my, my development, and so some of my friends are very conservative, some are very liberal, some are in between, and some I know just from other connections, not political connections. But anything I post that's on the controversial side, there will be people with me and people against me, and it's just the way it is. Sometimes they get into heated arguments with each other, and that's not so good. But yeah.
So as Trump as a person, I don't think I would liked Donald Trump prior to him running for president. I didn't like him on The Apprentice. I thought he was.
I never watched The Apprentice. I should. I've never seen it.
I watched 2 episodes, and I wasn't that impressed. But because the premise behind it, to me, is like basically teaching a business class as an entertainment, basically, a marketing class. That's what it was.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, my opinion.
I know the line, "You're fired."
Yeah.
That's about my extent of knowledge.
And I think that show was detrimental for his image when he ran as president. I really do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say that that's what got him elected.
It could have been.
Okay.
But I saw it, and it was made me the reason why I was hesitant to support him. So.
Okay, you were probably more discerning than others.
Like I said, I don't hate the man. I have some issues with what he's done, what he said. But I have issues with all the other past ones too. I mean, I can't be a cult of personality person.
Right. Yeah.
I can't be.
Yeah, no one should be. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Because I mean, I think that Reagan probably did some good things that are admirable. Jimmy Carter, nice guy, way over his head as president. Nice guy.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to meet him and shake hands, go to his Habitat Humanity projects. That was great. But as president, he was lackluster.
A lot of people think he was a better ex-president than
the
president.
I agree with that. So, your family, he's been, from what I know about it, been politically active. And were they always on different sides or taking a side over issues or what?
You mean my family within itself?
Yeah, your family.
I think my family is all pretty much on the left. My mother was the one who was the most politically active, though. Like other people in my family are not quite so outspoken that way, but they were all pretty solidly on the left. That's why when I became a Republican I was actually very inspired by John McCain. Like I was just telling you, I didn't find Obama that inspiring, but I found McCain very inspiring, which is the reverse of the way almost everyone else sees it. But I really, I really admired him, and so that's what made me a Republican. Once I started joining the McCain campaign, though, I got exposed, to the views of his supporters, who were people like Rush Limbaugh and Sean Hannity, and people even farther right than that. So I became more conservative than McCain. It's one of these. I mean, the ideas on the right were kind of new to me, and they were kind of, a lot of them made sense. Like, the basic principles of capitalism. You and I were just talking about free market, economics, and that was something I didn't really know very much about. Having been pretty much on the left, where we didn't really think about those things too much, but I kind of liked those ideas, and it was just sort of intellectually stimulating seeing the other side of things, and so anyway, I got sort of pulled, and farther to the right. But then when Trump became the nominee, like I would have supported any of the other Republican candidates, but not him, and so like once he was the nominee, I immediately became a Democrat. You and I did a show about that. because I wanted to be in the opposition to him. And so now I guess my political views are more kind of a mixture, some conservative, some liberal, some in the middle. So I guess I would consider myself basically a moderate right now. But anyway, I think the question I was answering, like I think I was one of the only ones in my family who would be maybe more, I think I'm in general, at least now, more conservative than my family has traditionally been, except for maybe some of my elderly relatives might have been more on the conservative side, like my grandparents maybe were more conservative, but like, my dad and my mom, my brother, I don't want to speak for too many other people, and, even other relatives too, generally very, very left-leaning.
Yeah. It made interesting family dinners, I'm sure, when he made the transitions.
Yeah, that people weren't too happy with me becoming a Republican. I mean, I guess it's good for kids to rebel in some ways. Like, I think even both my parents would agree with that, even if they didn't necessarily like all of the forms of rebellion I took. But like, I think they both respected that I had to find my own way. They were both supportive of me and all my different endeavors. Like I think in our family we sort of took it for granted that kids had to do their own thing and not just be carbon copies of their parents or their siblings or whatever.
That's kind of hard to accept, though. I think I would be kind of like shocked or offended, maybe, or felt betrayed. I mean, I got to admit that. I mean, if I was, my political views are very libertarian. So if I had a kid that become a Bernie supporter, I'd be tempted to disown them.
But you also might think, well, geez, he's so independent-minded that he takes after me. Like, he thinks for himself. He doesn't just go along with what his father taught him.
I got to be honest.
You don't think you would
get out of here? It takes a considerable amount of love, I guess. I mean, I'd say I'm political. I'm very political, and I'd have a hard time overlooking that in my own offspring. I would have a hard time with that. I admit it. That's not good.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even people, but even people who are like liberals don't all agree with each other, or conservatives don't all agree with each other. Like, no matter, even if you're on the same side of something, there will be some little subdivision within that same side that you won't agree on. So it seems like people are made to disagree with each other no matter what.
Well, libertarians always say, in the same day, you're going to be called by a Democrat, a right-winger, and you're called by a right-winger, a progressive. You probably know you're a libertarian at that point because you're going to disagree a lot of the issues. Marijuana, for one, to be an example. A lot of Republicans like, oh, you're a hippie, a pot smoker. No, I don't care if somebody else is, though. And I don't want to incarcerate them for that difference in opinion. So let's go from there. And there's like, they brand you. You say you're a leftist. You're one of them. And it's kind of angering because they're not being rational. They're not thinking things through. How can they be conservative?
Yeah, well, I'm in Facebook arguments with people a lot, and sometimes if you're in or if I've been in Facebook arguments lately where I do that too much. I'm trying to control myself now, but. If you say something that the liberals don't like, they'll say you must be a Trumpist, or you're a Russian troll, or you say something the conservatives don't like. Oh, you're one of those Bernie supporters, whatever, Bernie bros, or whatever they call, But they immediately jump to some conclusion just because you're disagreeing with them on one issue, and just that it's very easy to call people names and things like that.
But I am surprised. I used to go down and talk to the guys from the Occupy Wall Street groups, and there's some places where the libertarians and the Occupy group had in common, like the Federal Reserve. They had issues with that, so that was promising. I don't know how much you could build on that alone, though. But it was promising. But I mean, it was interesting to hear their perspectives on it.
Right.
I disagreed with them.
Yeah, it's good that you're willing to listen to people. If
you don't know if you're going to be wrong.
Right, yeah.
You don't. And nobody does.
Right.
And to think you're omniscient, or infallible, That's the reason why I could never become a Roman Catholic. I don't believe anybody's infallible. So. But
Okay.
now that does people call you with topics maybe that's inspired you on some of these songs? Like maybe they say, "Do you hear what he said on this?" Or,
No, because this is a project I kind of did on my own, so people weren't contributing to it. I guess that's I like to do projects on my own. Like I don't tend to be a collaborator so much. I have kind of my own individual style. That's maybe. So maybe a lot of people might not necessarily get my stuff right away. Like it's not part of, it's not like part of some group development or something. It's kind of individualistic. But yeah, I mean, just watching the news, I guess that's a big, big source of inspiration for this. So, yeah.
a lot of bands have done that. Came out with great, hits from listening from like sound bites and coming up with and news articles, and I think that's good. I mean, I think it's refreshing. The sappy love song stuff gets on my nerves after a while. So,
Yeah.
but now, you want to do another of those
Sure,
songs?
yeah,
Or?
okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, this next one, I guess people often call Trump a liar. I think say he's lying, but I guess my view is a little bit different. I don't think he's really lying. I guess this song, to me, this isn't based on one of his quotes, unlike a lot of my other songs. But this one, I think sums up what I think is his basic philosophy, and this is called "I Make Things True." I make things true by saying them. I make things true by saying them. It's my world. I make things true by saying them. I make things true by saying them. It's my world. And in my world, and in my world, I make things true by saying them. It's my world. He makes things true by saying them. He makes things true by saying them. It's his world. He makes things true by saying them. He makes things true just by saying them. It's his world. And in his world, and in his world, he makes things true by saying them. It's his world. And in my world, and in my world, I make things true by saying them. It's my world.
Well, it's catchy, I guess, but it's kind of sad because it's like putting between the choice of like he is a liar or he's totally detached from the reality the rest of us are experiencing. So I mean, I don't know what's the better option.
Yeah, I guess I guess I see a resemblance between him and one of my late relatives. She would say things that, it's like if you're thinking of, she must know that that's not true, but it seemed to me that she wasn't lying. She just thought that she could make things true by saying them. Like, I've never said one unkind word about so and so, and she had previously said nothing but unkind words about that person. But like, if it suited her purposes, suddenly to switch around and love this person, then then it was as if she could just totally rewrite that just by saying the opposite. And like, if it's, it's one thing if it's your elderly relative who's saying something like that, and it's another thing if it's the president of the United States. So, maybe that's a narcissist quality. I think I was discussing that with one of my friends recently, and yeah, I think that's a quality of narcissism. Maybe I'm not a psychologist, of course.
But I think to be in politics, I don't care if it's the local, national, or international, there's probably an element of a narcissism.
Right.
I think
yeah.
it almost is mandatory.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Because I mean, I get up and think like, oh my God, my hair's receding. I'm too fat. I don't want to. These people don't have those concerns.
Right.
And then what comes out of their head or out through their mouth should be appalling. And I'm not necessarily about Trump, but I'm saying other people too as well. But no, they have no problem just uttering it. I mean, Biden's, oh my God. I wish he would shut up.
Right.
It's hard to
yeah.
ignore that stuff, you know.
Yeah, was it the ancient Sparta? From what I've heard, they would have a lottery to pick their leaders. Because the people who want positions of power generally shouldn't get them. So I guess that was the attitude. I don't know how well that system did or didn't work, but people often, think of that as an alternate system to what we have. So.
Well, if William F. Buckley said something about, I think it was him, that said about being ruled by the people from randomly chosen from a phone directory.
Right, yeah.
He'd almost have that at times as a preference. So,
Right.
I mean, maybe the lottery was not such a wild idea.
Right,
You know.
yeah, that's true.
So, but anyway, where could people find this little collection at?
Oh, yeah, thank you. It's on CD Baby, if you Google CD Baby. And I think eventually it'll be available through Amazon. It isn't yet, though. CD Baby makes it available through these different places. So eventually it should be available through Amazon, but if you Google it, you'll find it available through CD Baby. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And just before I forget, it was recorded at Alley Records in Ypsilanti by Steve Summers, a very wonderful guy to record with. And again, these political views are my own. I'm not, trying to ascribe these to anyone else.
That's good though.
Okay.
And people, you're also a phenomenal harp player. So if people want to contact you through Facebook about
Right, yeah.
an event or something like that,
Yeah.
would that be okay? Or
Oh, sure. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of more known for playing the harp. So often, if I tell people I'm singing, they say, "Well, where's your harp? Are you going to play the harp too?" Or I think people are kind of disappointed to see me without my harp, and maybe rightly so. I don't know, but this is kind of a separate thing. So
I'm always so surprised what your next project is. I mean, because you're kind of like, here's something like Flat Earth, your anti-abortion book that you wrote.
right. Yeah.
You never know where you're going to come up with something totally different. So
Right,
that's really kind of a pleasure to find out what you're going to come up with.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah.
Anyway, people can find it and you on Facebook. Is there any other social media sites or
I think Facebook is the main way.
you're not Twitter or
No, I don't do Twitter. Yeah.
I got a Twitter account. I never use it except for the shows.
Oh, okay.
The shows.
Yeah.
Because basically, I don't like dealing. If I say something, I don't want to have to deal with people I don't know. Hating me. But
Oh, and just to describe, all of these songs they're pretty short. Like you could probably tell from the two songs I did, they're all, the longest one is a little over 3 minutes, but most of them are like 1 or 2 minutes, and they're all a cappella singing.
I'm sure your mom is proud though.
Oh, thank you.
She's-
I hope so.
Especially I know she wouldn't like Trump, and she had passed away.
Well, it's funny though. Just that you mentioned that. She spent her last days in a nursing home, and she had some problems with dementia, delirium. Some days she was more clear-headed than others, depending on the condition of her medicines or things like that, or her illnesses. But anyway, the nursing home. But she couldn't really make sense of the news. Like she was, her head wasn't thinking clearly enough. She had big gaps in her memory. So anyway, but she did like Donald Trump. When she was in the nursing home, she liked seeing him on the screen. I guess he made her feel good. She thought he was good looking. So that's one good thing that, as far as I'm concerned, that Trump may have done in his lifetime. He made my mom feel good, like looking on the screen. She liked him. She got a good feeling from him and Melania. One day, when she was more clear-headed than other days, I mentioned to her that he was a Republican. She said, "Oh, I don't like him then," But all the other times, But then that, probably the next time I visited, she forgot all about that, and so she actually did like him, but she wouldn't have liked him if she weren't in that condition, I think.
But he was a Republican only when he was president. All the
Yeah,
time when he was
that's
businessman,
right, yeah.
Donald Trump,
Yeah.
in New York and New Jersey, you belonged to the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Yeah, I don't think you can blame only the Republicans for Donald Trump. Like you just said, he was probably a Democrat most of his life, or probably really someone with no real strong political views except for his own self-interest, as far as I'm concerned. So.
And I think that's intelligent. I think you should be concerned about your own concerns.
Yeah, well, I
do.
guess enlightened self-interest is one thing, concern about yourself, but also about the greater good. But some people leave out the greater good part, or whatever entirely. So it's not enlightened self-interest; it's just self-interest. Is where, as far as I'm concerned, that's where he is. But you might not agree with that.
Anyway, it's always a pleasure to sit down and talk to you, and I'm always kind of like amazed to see what you come up with next. And please contact us next time when another project comes to, finalization, and you want to get people's, information out there about it being available. So,
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.